Hey, what's up, guys? Team Hard Life Captain Alberto Zertuche here. All right, so an issue was brought up to my attention earlier today, and it struck home with me big time. And the reason for it is because this is a veteran that has called into one of the tournaments to ask about the rules and regulations because he saw that, it was a certain way for deploying baits, kayak only, manpower, and so forth. Well, in that scenario, he was addressing the issue because he's about to be certified to be 100% disabled because he gets paralysis on the right side of his body at certain times to where he can't move. However, this veteran has not allowed that to deter him from finding ways to cope with life. And one of those things is fishing, shark fishing especially. It gives him a way to cope with whatever he's got going on. There's a lot of deals and issues that come back with everybody that's been overseas, that have seen the front lines and so forth. However, the major thing with me is, they contacted this tournament and they were asking, well, can I do this? Can I do this? And they're like, nope. What you got to do is this, and basically they're telling him he has to pay for an extra person. They're way into the shark tournament to run the baits for him and so forth, which most teams do. They work together and do that. However, this individual normally fishes by himself, so his thing was, well, I have a jet ski and so forth. And I was like, okay, well, if the tournament, naturally, you need to have a kayak or doing it by manpower, and you're basically taking it out of the scope of the tournament, by going with a jet ski. I said, well, that's going to make it unfair to all the other guys that are actually out there kayaking. If you can find somebody that can kayak for you, then that would kind of be on the same level playing field as everybody else that is having somebody kayak bait for them. He's like, well, yeah, but still that means I have to pay for somebody else to be in the tournament who's not going to fish. I was like, well, that's the problem, and that's actually a very good question to ask, because at the same time, if you think about it, there are rules, federal rules, in place right now across the United States that make it illegal for you to discriminate and or, find a way to overcharge somebody because they are disabled. It's like telling somebody who's parked in a handicapped spot that they have to pay every time they park there. Well, that's not the way it works. And so with that in mind, it gets me thinking along those same lines too. And I see his point on it. It's, you're not supposed to charge people when they want to enjoy the same freedoms as us. However, I did tell him, though, with that, though, you can't be using the jet ski because you're supposed to level the playing field, not supersede it, because the rules state manpower or kayak. So if all else, they should at least allow you to enter the tournament on the specific notion that whoever is helping you cannot fish. But at the same time, too, there's a lot of guys that do that. They have somebody else run their bait for them, and then they catch a winning fish, and, they win. That's the way it is. So, they fall on the same lines as them. So, the biggest thing here that I'm bringing to light, I guess is the best way I could put it, is, these guys that are deemed 100% disabled, whether it be a veteran or just a civilian, can they or should they be allowed to have someone run their bait for them that's not fishing? Now, if that person is fishing in the tournament, then yeah, obviously they need to pay to be in it. But at the same time, too, to have somebody that's not in the tournament kayak their baits and do all of that, it just raises a bunch of questions. Brings to light a major question. Should disabled personnel, whether it be civilian or even a veteran, be allowed to have somebody kayak their baits that's not going to fish, that's just strictly there to kayak, so that way they can still enjoy the same freedoms? For one, I would say yes, and these tournaments need to acknowledge that and allow for something like that to happen with parameters installed. Obviously, this person, if they're going to run baits for this individual or another individual at the same time with the same kind of problem, well, then that's cool, as long as they're not in the grouping to win money. I mean, obviously it's going to be up to the fishermen to be able to do that, but at the same time too, it's going to also boil back down to there's a bunch of little dynamics that need to be addressed, but at the same time, the major question is how can these tournaments step up their game to allow disabled personnel, both civilian and military alike, to be able to fish it without having the penalty of having to pay for extra people. Now, the other argument could be, well, there's a lot of elderly folks that are getting into this, and or older generations that are in the tournament that are still doing the same thing. They have to pay extra because of this, but at the same time too, a lot of those guys that are helping them are fishing the tournament, so it's kind of lost in the mix on that one because they are fishing the tournament. They are fishing for something to win. But to have somebody that's strictly not going to fish, that's strictly just going to kayak, maybe there's something that needs to be addressed on that. Or maybe make it a, I don't know, that's a real tricky deal. But at the same time, too, the major issue is why should they have to pay extra for somebody else that's not going to fish? Food for thought. I'm still going to think on it some more, and this probably won't be my first and only post, but I'd like some feedback to see if any other tournaments are out there that are doing some kind of special emphasis or acknowledgement or leeway for disabled personnel or disabled fishermen during tournaments. So get back at me. Let me know something. All right, guys. This is going to be something that's going to be added on to the other things that we're all dealing with. So, all right, guys. Y'all have a good one.